Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys for Wednesday, April the 18th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Little slip of the tongue there. We got Andrew McGinnis and Alex B. Smith with me, with Dana Lane hopefully as well. We'll see if we can get him on. He's not with us now, but we're hoping at some point during the show. Ready to talk Wednesday and Thursday Stanley Cup playoff games for the next 2 days. We already have one series completed, finished. A tremendous job by the Vegas Golden Knights, a 4-game sweep of the Los Angeles Kings. I said they'd break the Bruins out. They did just that. They cashed a series price bet for me, and I think multiple of us were on Vegas in Game 4 as well last night, and they get the job done 1-0 against the LA Kings. So Vegas, the first team to punch their ticket to the second round. We'll see if anyone joins them in the course of the next few days. Tonight, we have one elimination game on tap. We could be saying adios to the Anaheim Ducks as they're up against San Jose. No games facing elimination other than that we're going to talk about on this slate, but certainly teams that could be pushed to the brink of elimination in the games we will be talking about here on this Wednesday and Thursday slate. So let's get to it and start with Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. The first game on this Wednesday night card, 7:05 p.m. Eastern, puck drop. We've got Pittsburgh minus 145. Road favorite in this game. The total 6 shaded to the over, and a lot of moving parts with the Philadelphia Flyers. The big news is obviously a massive concern to them. The status of their number one center, Sean Couturier, plain and simple. A guy that collided with his teammate Radko Gudas in practice yesterday. It was not looking good from all reports. He is a game-time decision at absolute best to suit up tonight for Dave Haxtell and the Philadelphia Flyers. And obviously, if he's not in there, he's a good offensive player. He is just as valuable, if not more, on the defensive end of the ice as well for this Philadelphia team. He is counted on to match up against head-to-head, especially here in Philly when Philly gets the opportunity to have last line change to match up head-to-head with Sidney Crosby's line, that top line of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And so if Sean Couturier is not out there tonight, that could be problematic. He's arguably the best defensive forward for the Philadelphia Flyers. He's one of their top penalty killers, if not their best penalty killer. And what did we see the Pittsburgh power play do the last time in Game 3? They lit up the Flyers like a Christmas tree. That Pittsburgh power play could not be stopped, and it's going to be even more difficult for the Philadelphia Flyers to contain that Penguin power play unit if Sean Couturier does not play in this game. That is an impact injury, something you're going to want to be aware of leading right up to puck drop tonight, whether or not he suits up for the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. Matt Murray's been the steadier goaltender so far in this series. I don't think there's much denial there. Brian Elliott had a good game too. Sort of reverted back to some struggles again in Game 3, although a lot of it was because of the people playing in front of him. They didn't exactly keep a stalwart brick wall in front of Elliott on Sunday afternoon, but still, Elliott has been outplayed in this series by Matt Murray. I'm in no rush to go against Pittsburgh here, especially if Couturier does not play. Unfortunately, it's not a great bargain. I mean, you were able to lay $1.10, $1.20 with Pittsburgh in Game 3. I think a lot of us jumped on that. This is a little bit different here. $1.45, $1.50. That being said, I don't want Philadelphia tonight. I'm reluctant to go under. I mean, we haven't seen an under. We've seen a push at worst with this series all season and in the playoffs. And now Couturier's out, which is a defensive hindrance to Philly if he doesn't go. So it's over or pass for me from a totals perspective. It's Pittsburgh or pass for me from a side perspective. Let's go around the horn here for this game. I believe Dana's with us now, so great timing because I believe Dana's first action on the card is from this Penguin and Flyer game tonight, Game 4 in the city of brotherly love. Dana, welcome, and what do you like in this game?
Yeah, that's interesting about the Gudis or the Couturier injury. I mean, it almost looked like I don't know if I assume what you all have seen it. It almost didn't look real. I mean, it was. I don't know if he got his skate stuck in the ice or what it was, but yeah, obviously he didn't skate at morning practice. He's going to give it a try today. I was just listening to some reporters that were in the locker room, and one said, "Yeah, well, we'll see what happens when he gets on the ice." The other one said if he had to bet $1 that he wouldn't play tonight. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And I think the Philadelphia Flyers probably know that he's going to be less than probably 50% tonight, even if he does get on the ice. And we might even see Nolan Patrick at the top center position, which would be interesting. And he's a guy that certainly has started to play with some confidence as this series has gone on. But more likely, Claude Giroux is going to get the time in that spot. And coincidentally, I mean, maybe that's the best thing to happen to Drew, considering he's been non-existent on the score sheet, not only in this series, but in his last 10 games, he's been almost a guy that we talked about maybe getting some votes for the Hart Trophy is basically falling off the face of the earth. But the other thing I don't like about the Flyers too is the penalties, and it's not the amount of penalties, it's the type of penalties that they're getting, and the stick penalties are too much. And when you get too many stick penalties, that means the team is either faster or quicker or just has better positioning than you do. And I think those all hold true for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And of course from a Flyer, when you compare both of these teams and you take a look at the top guys for the Penguins and the top guys for the Flyers, I mean, Drew's been non-existent, and certainly Wayne Simmons is. I don't know. The only time I noticed Wayne Simmons was when he was on the ice. So I'll be more than happy to back Philly or to back Pittsburgh tonight with a guy like Sidney Crosby has 30 points in 20 games against the Flyers, and if you guys look at the I wanted to bring this up too. If you look at the shot chart, it's really not even close as far as quality opportunities, and we know that the Penguins has outshot the Philadelphia Flyers quite easily, but they've also outshot them quite easily 5-on-5 as well. I just think it's a complete mismatch. I think when Pittsburgh loses, it's because they lose and they're not in the game. But clearly, the Penguins are the better of the two teams, and I think they want to get this over as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think this is where the zigzag theory, and I know people sometimes look at that NHL, NBA playoffs, bet on the team that lost the last game. I think this is where it could end tonight. I don't know if Philly's got the horses in them, especially without Couturier if he does not go to be able to get that job done tonight. And that's what I've heard, that Claude Giroux would slide over to be top line center if Couturier doesn't go. That's more than likely where Dave Haxtell is going to go with his lineup tonight. And again, it's a huge loss because more, just as every bit defensively, if not more so defensively than what Couturier brings you offensively, and face-off prowess as well, which is big time. And he's the guy matched up against Sidney Crosby's top line, especially on home ice when the Flyers get that last change. So it's absolutely a big loss if he doesn't go. Hornquist is too. Someone mentioning in the chat, Cody AV. Good to see you, Cody. How about Hornquist being out? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's a guy that crashes the net, scores all those dirty goals in the paint area. A lot of his goals come from 2 feet away from the netminder. That's where you like to see players go to score goals in the postseason, and they miss him for sure. But Pittsburgh's got a little bit more ability to sustain injuries than Philly with better quality, higher quality depth, and I think they'll be able to do okay. Looks like Dominic Simon might get some play in Hornquist's spot for Pittsburgh tonight from what I've read. So, and he's a capable guy. He's got double-digit points on the season in 30-some games, so he can slide in there and maybe make some noise offensively for Pittsburgh. So, they'll miss him, but I don't think it's detrimental by any stretch of the imagination for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's go to Andrew, who's also got some action going and involvement in the Penguin Flyer Keystone State battle tonight. Andrew, what do you like here?
There we go. I'll get the mic on for myself here. Look, I'm going to stick with the over in this one. I mean, a lot of people could love the Penguins, and for me, I'm just more comfortable laying the price with the over. And first of all, take a look at the special teams. I mean, 6 minor penalties in a span of almost 25 minutes to 30 minutes for this Philadelphia Flyers team, and it's literally the worst thing possible that they could really be doing against this Pittsburgh Penguins team. That's just so dangerous. I mean, they have to find a way to stop the all-stars of this Penguins team. I mean, Sidney Crosby is having his way with this Philadelphia Flyers team like he has always had. And honestly, for me, the way I see it is the more we move ahead in this playoff series, the more we move ahead in this playoffs, the more comfortable this Pittsburgh Penguins team is. Let's remind everyone they're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, so they are very comfortable where they are. They don't have any nerves. They're not nervous whatsoever. They're exactly where they're supposed to be, and they know how to play in these bigger games. And in my eyes, I know it's only a 2-1 series lead for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but this is a massive game, a massive, massive game for this Philadelphia Flyers team. And personally, I think they're going to have to throw everything that they can at the net. And, Dana touched on quality scoring opportunities. And personally, for me, I think that this Philadelphia Flyers team, again, they're wasting so much energy on defense. And right now with Couturier out, it's going to open up the ice even more. And I personally think that with Hornquist being out, he's actually a pretty aggressive guy as well. So the way I see this game, it's going to be just a game of shinny. I think it's going to be just pond hockey out there. It's going to be a lot of breakaways. It's going to be a lot of really fast-paced hockey, and I don't think they're going to, really have that aggressive style to it. I think Philadelphia has to realize that they're not going to win these games 2-1. They got to get on the board early and often. They have to have a good start, and then they got to start finding each other more. I mean, they got to start spending more time in Pittsburgh's zone, because for right now, the opportunities and the scoring chances that they're getting, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to be enough. And we were able to capitalize on catching Pittsburgh in game 3 at minus 110 line, and all of a sudden the odds makers give us these crazy numbers now. I love the way they react, and the lines fluctuate right now. But again, I just think that when you look overall at this team, I just don't think Philadelphia Flyers can really match up. So I'm going to look at over the total in this one. I think as far as the injuries go, first of all, that was just an unreal injury. Anyone that saw that video of Couturier, that's just an awkward collision. It's something that you don't want to see happen. I don't like to see that stuff happen in the playoffs, but I can't see this pace slowing down in this game between these two teams. And I think this game is going to be a lot like a game 1. It's going to be a very fast-paced game. Both these two teams are going to be on their edges. Look, Pittsburgh does not want this thing tied up, and Philadelphia knows this is pretty much a do-or-die game for them, to be quite honest with you. So I'm looking for a lot of traffic in front of Matt Murray. I'm looking for the Stars to stay hot for the Pittsburgh Penguins, looking over the total of 6, Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia.
All right, over the total of 6. Yeah, we should have a decent chance to see a few goals tonight. I would say Pittsburgh regulation. People asking in the chat, plus 110 to plus 115 in that range with the regulation line for Pittsburgh. That's a good price. I like that. Actually, if I bet Pittsburgh, I will look to the regulation rather than the minus 150, because again, we're waiting for an overtime game in this series. We've had 3 blowouts so far, so it's not like this is a series where you're a little bit more concerned about overtime costing you there. Haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen a close competitive game in this series yet. We've seen 7-0 and 2 5-1 games. So we have yet to see a real down to the wire nail biter. So I have no problem. If I bet Pittsburgh, that's the option that's the route I'm definitely going to take, is regulation at plus 110, plus 115. Rather than minus 150. And that's also called a 3-way line too, by the way. Some say regulation time, some say 3-way money line. So it depends on the book that you bet it at, but certainly you're going to get a little better price with Pittsburgh going that route. We've got Tampa, New Jersey, 59-60. Next game on tonight's schedule. Tampa Bay minus 140 to minus 145, road favorite. Total fluctuating here. It actually opened 6. It's been pushed up to 6.5, and people obviously seeing that it's been 5-2, 5-2. A lot of these 7+ goal outbursts between the Lightning and Devils so far in this series, and clearly reacting to that, although it was a third period of where all hell broke loose to really get that game to 5-2. The last time these two teams played in game 3, including a couple, I believe, empty net goals. It was 2 New Jersey empty net goals to put that game over the total. When it was 3-2, it became 4-2 and then 5-2, and that's your final score. That's a brutal loss, really, if you had the under. You had the right side. It was 1-0 or 1-1 going into the third period, and then all of a sudden all hell broke loose there in that one. I think New Jersey still got a puncher's chance in this series. I mean, Tampa Bay took their foot off the gas pedal in the 2 home games when they got up big, and New Jersey came after them big time. And then you saw New Jersey really play well at home in game 3 to get this to 2-1. I wouldn't count New Jersey out completely here in this game tonight. And I'm going to wait to hear what I can find out about these Tampa Bay injury situations. We had Ryan Callahan, who may miss another game tonight with them. Tyler Johnson was not practicing yesterday. They're saying he's going to be in, but they're not totally confirming that just yet. And we know how big Tyler Johnson's been in the playoffs for Tampa. He's already been huge for them in this first round and in years past. So we'll see if Tampa Bay is going to have a couple of these guys out or not. And if so, how's John Cooper going to tweak his lineup to deal with that? But, it hasn't been smooth sailing for Tampa Bay in this series, even though they're up 2-1. And certainly Corey Schneider, John Hines, with that hindsight move, let's give the veteran another shot as our number 1 goalie. And he responded. A great performance. Corey Schneider finally gets a victory, snaps an ugly 12-game losing streak as a starting goaltender with the win the other night in game 3. There's a couple of situations where you've got Colorado, you've got New Jersey, you've got Toronto in the card tomorrow. Home teams down 2-1. If you have to ask me, if I have to choose which team I think's got the best shot to go 2-2, I think it's New Jersey. I'm not sure Colorado does it. I'm not sure Toronto does it. I think New Jersey could, though. So I'm leaning a little to the Devils side here in this game tonight. Let's go to Dana. This is another game for him. Lightning and Devils, Dana. The Devils tying it up. Are you looking at the total? Side or total? What are you looking at here?
Definitely looking at the side. I mean, I like Tampa in this series, and I very rarely will go against a series selection just because the worst that can happen is I go 4-3, and there's really nothing in this series that makes me go the other way. In fact, you talked about Corey Schneider, and there were some reports that maybe he tweaked his leg a little bit at the end of the game the other night, and if that's the case, and even if you I like Tampa regardless, but if that's the case, there's very few teams in the National Hockey League that make you go east to west more than the Tampa Bay Lightning does. And if he's not 100% or his legs, groin, whatever is not 100%, then that's going to be even a bigger obstacle to overcome in net. And obviously he's going to get the start, but if he's not 100, even if he's 95%, boy, he's going to need to be able to have all his abilities about him to be able to push off from side to side. And Tampa, I think, is if they can smell blood in the water, they're really going to take advantage of that, especially on the power play, where Tampa Bay has been absolutely fantastic in this series already. And yes, I mean they dropped a game, but if you look at the high danger opportunities for Tampa Bay, there really is no comparison. In fact, they had a 16-7 advantage in their last game. So I mean, sometimes final scores don't always tell the whole story, and I understand that. I think that a little bit. I think that Brian Boyle got under the skin a little bit of Tampa in the last game, and I don't expect there to be an undisciplined effort as there was at times for Tampa Bay in their defeat. So I like Tampa in this game, and I think after they win this game, they go on and win this series easily.
All right, Tampa Bay for Dana, and people asking in the chat, are bookies begging us to take the under here? Well, it's 6.5, and let's be completely and brutally honest here. That was fortunate to get over the total in Game 3. I mean, that was 1-1 going into the third period, and then the 2 empty net goals is what did it. And in the 6.5, no, this is one time that no, it's a little high now. 6.5 won't be involved on the total here in this game. But that's a good point about Schneider. I mean, you want to see if he's 100%. Look, this is a good in-running live wagering type of setup here with the Schneider situation. If you see him having trouble moving in the net and reacting and slow reacting to pucks, with that lateral movement post to post early in the game, that could spell to maybe Tampa in the over. Whereas if he's maybe locked in and maybe not showing signs of that injury bothering him much, then maybe you're more looking at, a chance with New Jersey hanging around in this game or the under. So again, Schneider's early signs of how he's reacting and how he's looking in between the pipes early in this game could go a long way. No question to his performance moving forward in the rest of this game tonight. So that's something to look for. And again, sometimes you got to isolate these little situations that you're not sure about going into the game. You get a 5-10 minute glimpse of the beginning of the game, and then you can use what you see and what the eyeball test is telling you to make good decisions with live betting opportunities. So that's probably what I'll be looking to do here with Tampa Bay, New Jersey tonight in this one. Let's go on to 61-62 Western Conference time now. Nashville, Colorado. We've got Nashville minus 155, road chalk, total 6 here, pretty much across the board. We've got the Nashville Predators up 2-1 in this series, despite the fact that you could conceivably say they have yet to start a game well in this series. They've fallen behind, given up the first goal in every game. It got even worse in Game 3, where not only did they give up the first goal, they were deluged. 4 straight early goals for Colorado. Pekka Rinne gets the hook. UC Saros has to come in and finish that game for the Nashville Predators. And if you read anything about what Laviolette's been saying, what Subban and Forsberg and some of these big players on Nashville are saying, it's the start. We got to start on time. We've got to get off to a better start. We got to be faster. We got to be ready to go right from the drop of the puck tonight. So Nashville, to me, is talking all the right words about we've got to finally get a good start to this hockey game under our belt. So what that has me looking at here is not so much Nashville in the full game. I actually can get it, especially at Pinnacle, which is, lower juice book. I can get Nashville as low as minus 136 in the first period of this game. I think if there's finally going to be a game where Nashville just puts their foot down and says we've had enough of these slow starts, we can't keep doing this to ourselves. We got away with it in Game 1 and 2. We didn't get away with it in Game 3. We finally paid the price for not getting out of the gate strong in a hockey game. I would think Nashville first period's a good way to go here. I can get -136 on a Nashville first period line at Pinnacle. That's something I'll definitely be betting here in this game 4 tonight. With all due respect to Colorado, they got their big guns going offensively. They're feeling good again. McKinnon, big night again the other night. Rantanen and Landeskog, that line they rely on. They've gotten going the last couple games. That's good news for Colorado. But I also kind of like Pekka Rinne in this kind of spot where he's been pulled. We saw it a couple of times last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He got pulled from a game, and what did he do the next game? He played very well in net for the Nashville Predators. So you watch out for that. Rinne's been a good bounce-back goalie after getting the hook the previous game, much like Connor Hellebuck actually has been for the Winnipeg Jets, and we saw that again last night. Great bounce back from him after getting pulled the game before. We might see something like that from Pekka Rinne tonight. So good on Colorado, winning game 3, dominated that game, to fully deserve the win, and they've made a good account of themselves, no question, in this series. A depth-shy blue line, a suspect goalie, and Jonathan Bernier in their own net, and here they are 2-1, and they haven't played poorly in any of the 3 games so far in this series, but I think they could be up against it, especially if Nashville delivers on their promise to start out better tonight in game 4, something they haven't done in the first 3 games of this series. Let's get to Alex for the first time in this show. Colorado, Nashville, he's involved. Alex, what do you like here in Denver?
Well, I'm going to be going with something like I've been kind of riding with for most of the first period, most of the first round, rather, is the first period over. We've seen, like I said, Colorado scored first shot on goal in game 1, first shot on goal in game 2, and it was the second shot on goal in game 3. So, I mean, you can't start any faster than that. Like I said, now Nashville is trying to, basically do the same thing, get started quick and early. And like I said, whether that means they're going to tighten down defensively and do that or open up offensively, I think either way, we should be able to see at least 2 goals here in this first period. These 2 teams have been playing, like I said, completely, at a fast pace in the first 20 minutes. So first period over, you got to lay some juice with it. Minus $1.25 is where I got it, but that's what I'm gonna be looking at.
Yeah, it ain't broke, don't fix it. I know that has been working for Alex. First period overs, especially in that series, and he's going right back to that well. Colorado, Nashville, over 1.5 first period in the Mile High City tonight. Avalanche taking on the Predators. All right, Andrew, you're also up with Nashville and Colorado. What do you like here? What you got?
Well, look, guys, the way we saw that Colorado opened up these first 3 games, and the way that we saw Nashville Predators play in their first 2 games especially, and they still come out with the win, it's beyond me. I mean, they're not playing the top level of hockey that they're capable of doing, and their star players were still able to come out and somehow get the job done. Now, we fast forward to game 3. We look at this amazing start. 3 goals in the first period. I mean, we know the Avalanche have had good starts in the first period in this series, but 3 goals in the first period. You couldn't really ask for a better start. They shut down the Predators. They did an overall great job. But can we really expect that from the Colorado Avalanche on back-to-back games? Can we expect this Predators team and Pekka Rinne to come out with that exact same performance? Can we really expect Nathan McKinnon to have that exact same performance he had last game? Predators still dominated in the face-off dot. They still were relatively even as far as shots go. And let's face it, guys, as far as this pace goes, if the Predators can get off to a better start, they can absolutely wear and tear and shut down this Colorado Avalanche team. I mean, they, like you guys said, they have yet to have a stronger 5 minutes to start this game off than the Colorado Avalanche. And when they come out and do that tonight, they're going to realize that they have the advantage over this team. Once Colorado doesn't have that extra step, that extra jolt for the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes of this game, it's going to be all Nashville. I mean, first of all, I'm always talking about depth on Pittsburgh Penguins or on Bruins or on the Predators, but as far as this Predators team go, it's second to none. I mean, this Colorado team cannot match up. I repeat, they cannot match up for a back-to-back game. Anyone that thinks this Colorado Avalanche can pick up back-to-back wins against this Predators team, I have to be on the other side. I cannot agree with it. I don't care if I'm getting minus 150 with the full game or whatever odds that I'm getting. I mean, the fact is, down the lineup, there's only a few guys that I can really, really rely on as far as this Colorado Avalanche team go. Now, first of all, they put up 5 goals in game 3. Okay, that is one of the worst defensive performances I've seen from this defensive pairings that we have as far as the Nashville Predators go. I mean, they have to be ashamed of themselves. And another thing we have to look at, guys, is the fact that in one of their worst games that we've seen from them in a little while, and one of their obviously poorest games of the series, somehow Nashville was still able to score 3 goals. Now, if I'm Colorado, that has to worry me. That has to kind of freak me out a little bit because in a game that you dominated and that was your best game of the series so far, your opposition still scored 3 goals. Now we're getting a team total at plus 119 of the Nashville Predators over 3.5 tonight, and that's what I'm taking. I'm also on just the Predators full game, not in regulation, just full game. Got them at minus 150, and for me, I think that's just a very simple play. We got this team. We got Pekka Rinne, who is potentially one of the best goalies in this entire playoffs right now, about to ride his team to a Stanley Cup this playoffs. And we are going to see what a back-to-back really looks like, or a bounce back really looks like. I can see the Stars really coming out to shine right now. I can see a big start. And, I agree with Alex's first period over again. I mean, this is going to be a period that I think they're going to absolutely send a message and absolutely shut down this Colorado Avalanche team. They do not have what it takes. They do not have anything to offer this Nashville Predators team. It's time for the Predators to stop rolling over, stop playing to the level of their opponent, and play like it's a big series, like it's a playoff game, and not just it's the Colorado Avalanche. They got to play like it's a Stanley Cup final every single game. They want to be successful. I'm on the team total over for Nashville and Nashville full game.
All right, Nashville full game money line and the team total over for the Predators for Andrew. I'm going to be just on the first period in this game. That's it. I'm not touching the full game, but just the first period, minus 136. Here's great quotes right here from Peter Laviolette. He after the game the other night, he says, "We weren't ready to go from the drop of the puck. That has to change. Captain Roman Josi, we got what we deserved. We really didn't show up in the first period. That can't happen again." So what does that say? Didn't show up in the first period, that can't happen again. Well, if this team is to be taken at their word, the first period is going to mean a little something to them tonight here in Game 4, based on the quotes from Roman Josi following the loss the other night. So I'm expecting Nashville to really bring something big to start this hockey game. They finally need a good start, get off on the right foot for a change, maybe get the first goal for a change. We'll see if they're able to do that tonight, and we'll see if they heed their words. If it's the I don't know if it's one of the worst teams in the league saying, the New York Islanders, the Buffalo Sabres saying we didn't show up in the first period, that has to change. I might not believe in them changing anything, because you just suck. You're just not good. But this is the Nashville Predators saying that. A team that I think is one of the best teams in the league, an elite team, could win a Stanley Cup. When they say something like that, a little more belief that I have that, hey, maybe they're going to practice what they preach. So I'm on Nashville first period tonight, see if they finally get off to that better start. Anaheim, San Jose, 63-64 to wrap up the Wednesday night card. San Jose minus 170, minus 175. Big home favorites, total 5, shaded to the over, about minus 140 here. If you've I did some looking into this. What's the results for teams with a 3-0 series lead, looking to close out the series in a 4-game sweep in the NHL all time? Well, I looked into it going into the Vegas game prior to the LA series. 129-84 is the result. 129-84, 61%. That the team that is up 3-0 in a series has closed out the series in a 4-game sweep. Vegas added to that 61% subset last night with a 1-0 win to sweep away the LA Kings, and that's the spot for the San Jose Sharks tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. Again, 130 now and 84, 61% all time. Three teams with a 3-0 lead have swept the series in 4 straight. I'm not going against that, and Anaheim's clearly been the second best team in this series so far. It's not even an argument. San Jose has made Anaheim pay ever so dearly for a complete and utter lack of discipline all series long. One parade to the penalty box after another. There's the Santa Claus parade, and then there's the penalty box parade, which the Anaheim Ducks are hosting now on a nightly basis. And it's killed them in this series, positively killed them. Evander Kane has made hay on the power play. Logan Couture's made hay on the power play. Pavelski. Those are the 3 leading playoff goal scorers for San Jose. And it's crippled Anaheim in this series. Their goaltending's been average. I don't think it's been horrible, but it hasn't been great from John Gibson. He got pulled the other night in that 8-1 drubbing that they suffered at the hands of the San Jose Sharks. I don't know if there's a pathway back, and Randy Carlyle looks exasperated, like he has no answers, no clue how to fix what's wrong with Anaheim. So I'm going to take San Jose regulation line here in this game. That's what I'll be looking at to finish the job. Again, here we are dealing with another series where we haven't seen an overtime game yet. So I've got no qualms going ahead. San Jose about even money, minus 105. San Jose to win in regulation. I think they finish off the Ducks tonight, send them quacking all the way back to Orange County. and send them packing and set up what I think will be a very, very fascinating series. San Jose and Vegas coming up in the second round. Again, we're dealing with a situation. We've talked about this before. This is a playoff elimination game where teams that are down in the series, backs against the wall, throw caution to the wind. So I'm not betting this thing under 5. Not even close. I mean, Anaheim's going to throw everything they have at the net. There's nothing to lose. They're down a goal or two late in the third. They pull the goalie earlier than normal. The usual yada yada we say in spots like this. So it's over or pass for me. In fact, I am on the over in this game. Over 5, minus 135 is what I got. Minus 140. So get the 5 just in case it's a push. But I think we can squeak over 5 goals. And I like San Jose to wrap it up in regulation tonight against Anaheim. Let's go to Andrew, who's in this game as well. Anaheim, San Jose. Sharks getting it done tonight, Andrew. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that honestly that they're going to get it done, Ian. But I'm going to go ahead and take the over 5. I mean, I love seeing this 5 number. I love how on the same night we have a 6.5 and we also have a 5. I think that's kind of funny and kind of sad, really, on the part of the Sharks, but not only the Sharks, but the Anaheim Ducks. And I think that this is realistically, and I don't like using this word too much, guys, but we have to think about this. This is a big example of a pride game. This is what they're playing for right now. This isn't for the series. This isn't for anything else but pride. This Anaheim Ducks team, I like what Ian said about the parade to the penalty box. This Anaheim Ducks team has to show us they can produce offense. They are capable of not getting manhandled by this San Jose Sharks team, because somehow at the start of the playoffs, everyone loved Anaheim for some reason. They thought that San Jose was too old, wouldn't be able to keep up with the Ducks, and wouldn't be able to keep up with the star players. Who are the star players for the Ducks anyway, guys? Because I don't see any of them out there. I don't see any of them. I see a lot of people making dumb, bonehead decisions. That's what I see. I see Getzlaf looking very confused out there. I see Kessler not even knowing how to score anymore. That used to be his role. Now all of a sudden he's like, oh, if I can't score, I might as well just, stick work, get involved between the whistles, right? They're going to do everything in their power right now to try and produce some kind of offense. I guarantee the lines will be juggled mid-game. If they do not get a good start, they're going to be firing everything that they can. If they got to stay out of the penalty box, first of all. But I don't think this San Jose Sharks team is going to let up. They're not going to try and play a defensive game. They're going to keep firing everything that they can because, let's face it, Gibson hasn't been very sharp. I thought Gibson was a very good goalie throughout the entire regular season. All of a sudden, we show up in the playoffs again. And, if you're a defenseman and you look back and you see Gibson kind of looking rattled or looking confused himself, it doesn't make you feel very good. We're getting a 5 in an elimination game. Possibly 1 or 2 empty net goals going to happen tonight. I'll take that gladly over this Anaheim Ducks team that needs to produce something. And this San Jose Shark team looking pretty smooth out there. So over 5 for me, Ducks and Sharks.
All right, over 5. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think Anaheim will break out at least a little bit, score at least a couple of goals. They did have 46 shots the other night. Now, not all of those were high quality. It was a high volume, not necessarily high quality, but at least they got more pucks at the net, way more than they had in previous games in this series. So maybe you take a little grain of salt, a little small little win or a bit of confidence from that. But I think you will see Anaheim contribute a little bit offensively tonight, and I don't think they'll solve San Jose. Evander Kane's looking like one of the trade deadline acquisitions of the year, or one of the top trade deadline acquisitions of the year. Man, has he ever fit in perfectly with San Jose and just been a difference maker for the Sharks offensively. He's been terrific in this series, was terrific in the regular season after Doug Wilson got him at the deadline, and he's been a big-time beast for the San Jose Sharks here in this series. Let's go to Alex as well with San Jose and Anaheim. Alex, what you got for us here?
Well, this series reminds me quite a bit of the series we saw end last night with LA and Vegas. Vegas was just completely too much for LA, and it seems to be the case with San Jose. They're just too fast and too skilled for this Anaheim team. And I had Anaheim in Game 3, and that was clearly the wrong side. I thought this Ducks team, being experienced, I thought the guys, Andrew, like you mentioned, Kessler and Getzlaf and Perry, I thought these guys would finally wake up and play the roles that they're supposed to be playing. They're supposed to be the superstar guys to get this team motivated and riled up in a positive direction, and they did not do that. They just continued to play, stupid hockey, commit a lot of dumb penalties, a lot of turnovers, a lot of bad sloppy passes, and the Sharks just completely ate them up. Pardon the pun. And now here they are at home, a chance to wrap this series up. Now, Ian, you mentioned this yesterday, and I was on the reverse puck line with Vegas and LA. I figured that they would, close this series out, and that LA would probably pull their goalie pretty early. They waited very late, which I think had a lot to do with the fact that it was a 1-0 as opposed to 2-1 or 3-1. Obviously, we've seen them pull it way earlier, but John Stevens, for some reason, waited till about 90 seconds left, and Vegas missed a couple empty netters. So I'm not playing anymore. I said it on Twitter. I was pretty upset about it. I'm not playing any more puck line favorites right now because I've been getting absolutely screwed going back to the end of the regular season with some of these puck line favorites. But I do think here that Randy Carlyle, I think he's a little bit sharper in this spot than maybe John Stevens was last night. I think we will see him pull his goalie if he's down 1 or 2 goals a little earlier in the third period. So I think there's a better chance for the Sharks to cover -1.5 tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I heard someone trying to vilify John Stevens for waiting to pull John Quick with a minute to go. I mean, you weren't generating a thing in that third period offensively. There's no thrust to offense, no sustained zone time coming from the Kings at all in that third period. It was just clinical checking being done by the Vegas Golden Knights. Pull the guy with 3.5 minutes to go, for Christ's sake. You're going to be out anyway in 4 straight games. I mean, what the hell are you thinking? Like, he says, oh, we couldn't get him out of the net in time. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Well, I could not, Ian. You don't even know how frustrated I was seeing that. I wasn't on anything particular. I was on Vegas, but just as a hockey fan and a hockey supporter and someone that watches most games, I was ready to pull my hair out, literally sitting there just waiting for the game to end and ready for Vegas to wrap up that series, waiting for Quick to leave. I understand they couldn't get anything going. They couldn't really get the puck out of their own end, guys. But what the hell? 1 minute and 5 seconds left in the game. That's when Quick got pulled. They couldn't do shit all series long. They wait till 1 minute left, and they actually ended up getting 3 or 4 shots when they had 6 guys on the ice. I mean, where's Patrick Wall when you need him for the 6 minutes left? Pull the goalie. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I know they could have used him. Where's he? Could get him as the head coach there. He's just sitting at home. After Colorado, after he left Colorado, should have done that. But that's just fitting that the series ends that way because really that was a coaching demolition by Gerard Gallant over John Stevens. His team was just flat out better. They were better prepared. They executed better, and they were coached better. Period. End of story. And that's a result of a 4-game sweep for Vegas over LA. And I think the Sharks have a chance to duplicate that. And Andrew and I both like this game to creep its way over the total, sitting at 5. Now, last night we were in the same spot. It was an elimination game. The total was 5. But let's be honest, we had Fleury and Quick, 2 very good defensive teams, 2 great goaltenders playing at the top of their game. We don't have that right now in this series. You've got Jones, who's still a little susceptible, hasn't been tested. I think he'll get tested more tonight. And Gibson, who's been, mediocre at best, and a team in front of him that struggled. So I think it's a totally different matchup to expect goals than maybe last night. So over 5 for Andrew and I, totals-wise, with this game. Let's go to Thursday now, where we have just 2 games now. Because of the fact Vegas closed up shop against LA last night. We've got Boston-Toronto, game number 4 at the Air Canada Center. Bruins up in this series 2-1. We've got near even money, -110 on both sides. Bruins and Leafs total 6 across the board. I had Toronto in the over in game 3, so I enjoyed that. But is that a staying power type of win for Toronto? Is that a sign we're back in the series? We can tie this thing up? I don't know. I mean, they still had to grit and grind and hang on at the end. To win that game 3 that they had to have on home ice. Boston didn't play a terrible game by any stretch of the imagination, and they were PO'd beyond belief at the delay of game call that swung the game in the Leafs' favor. It got them on the board first with the JVR power play marker that never in a million years should have been delay a game. Clearly ticked off the glass, and it clearly ticked off Jack Edwards as well, the NESN play-by-play voice of the Bruins, who lost his mind a little bit that night, especially when Janssen went down in the third period and the Bruins were on a power play. A classic, epic Jack Edwards moment, if you've ever heard one of his before. He didn't make him happy, but Toronto got the win, the dig down deep kind of win. I've still got to see, I'm still puzzled that Thomas Plekanec is up there on a second line. I don't understand that, although he did play finally a better game all around in game 3. I'm a little gun shy of coming back with Toronto tomorrow. I am. Boston, didn't play that terrible. And I think Toronto's still a little susceptible on the blue line. We know Kadri's going to serve the 3rd game of his suspension tomorrow in game 4, 3rd and final game. That's big on the defensive end. Is Leo Komarov going to return? If he doesn't, that's also big on the defensive end for Toronto. That's 2 of their better defensive forwards. And Boston was still able to generate a lot offensively against Toronto. Freddie Anderson finally rose up, had a pair of incredible saves late in the game to preserve the lead, preserve the win. They're going to need that kind of goaltending again because I think Toronto still gave up a lot of quality looks even though in the end they held Boston to 2 goals. If they give up those looks again, they might not be as fortunate to get the victory in Game 4 as they were in Game 3. So for me, that's right now pass. I'm not going to be involved side or total. Again, may see goals, wouldn't surprise me, but now we got 6 to deal with. We had 5.5 the last game when we took advantage of that. Not as crazy about it. Now it's 6 across the board here, going over the total one more time. Who's involved in this game? We've got Alex with a look at the Bruins and the Leafs Thursday night game number 4. Alex, what do you like?
Yeah, Toronto did what they're supposed to do, coming back home down 0-2. Crowd got into it. They fed off of that energy, scored goals, stayed with the momentum, even though Boston was able to get some of that momentum back. They never gave up in that game. But, Toronto, being the talented team that they are, let's not forget, this is a really good hockey team. They've just, found ways to kind of struggle late and struggle in the playoffs like they've done in the last couple of times they've been in the postseason. But there's still a ton of talent here. They've got, good goaltending and Freddie Anderson, a guy who had, for the most part, been a thorn in the side of Boston in his career. But like I said, this is a Bruins team that's got a lot of veteran experience as well. And I think that's going to shine here in this upcoming game. I like Boston to win here at a pick and price. I think the Bruins, they were able to find their footing in that second period. Like I said, make this a much closer game. And I think we're going to see a better performance, a bounce back performance of Tuukka Rask. He's a guy who all year, it seems when he had a bad outing or a bad effort, he came back and played really strong. So I like Boston here. I think we're getting a good price with it.
All right, Boston Bruins for Alex B. Smith. His a betting opinion on the Game 4 matchup, Bruins and Leafs. How about Dana? What's he liking for Bruins and Leafs, Game 4, Thursday night?
Yeah, I completely agree with Alex. I mean, the great thing about Boston, what the situation they're in right now is they've been, if you go through their schedule, they've been absolutely fantastic on 2 days rest. In fact, on 2 days rest this season, they've won 12 out of the 14 opportunities, and I don't see any reason to go against them in this one. And thankfully, and this is what I love about the media. If you listen to Boston Sports Radio, as I did this morning, there were some callers calling up and talking about about Tuukka Rask and whether or not he's a guy that leads them, that could lead them to the postseason, or through the postseason, which is absolutely asinine. This guy is a former Vezina Trophy winner. I mean, he played in back in the last couple of years, especially in the postseason, and in front of virtually nobody of name value as far as defensemen are concerned. And I think that if you put quality guys in front of them like they have this season, we see what Tuukka can do. It's a one game thing. It's not a big deal. And I love having the better team that feels like they got screwed, and the better team with the goaltender who definitely is feeling is hearing the calling out nature of the phone calls on WEEI and on the Sports Hub this morning. The Bruins top line is probably, and I'll go as far to say is, I think they're the best in the National Hockey League. As far, in fact, you have a guy like David Pastrnak who probably should have had three goals last night. I mean, he's a guy that really not a lot of people know about, and he doesn't get the notoriety he deserves just due to the fact that he plays on the Bergeron and Marchand line. But that line's as good as there is in the National Hockey League. Maybe Pittsburgh can rival that, and obviously they can. But the Bruins are the better team, and now they're the more motivated team. I don't care that they've had their problems in Toronto. They will win Game 4 and take a 3-1 lead.
Boston to take control of the series and go up 3-1, says Dana. Boston minus 110 for him and for Alex in this game. And, for the Boston Bruins, what can you say about the top line that hasn't been said already in this series? They've been dominant. Toronto's had very little answer for the Pastrnak group. And he deserves a lot of credit, too, for the way he's played. And you're right, he doesn't usually get that kind of recognition that some other elite offensive talents get in the league. You don't hear Pastrnak like you hear Stamkos in Tampa, Crosby in Pittsburgh, and a bunch of other guys in the league, Ovechkin. You go on down the list, even Laine and the group that Winnipeg has offensively. You don't hear Pastrnak as much yet. Here he is with 4 goals and 5 assists here so far in 4 playoff games, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. Marchand 6 points, Bergeron 5 points. Even Torrey Krug from the blue line 5 points for the Boston Bruins. Krejci 3 points. Although, man, if you saw the reaction, it's priceless. Don Sweeney, the Bruin GM, when Don Krejci made that, as Don Sweeney was quoted, if you could read his lips in the press box, fucking selfish play talking about David Krejci's turnover at the Toronto blue line that resulted in the Marleau 2-on-1 goal to put the game away 4-2. He was not happy. So yeah, defensively he was poor in that sequence, but offensively we know David Krejci, pretty good player. But Alex and Dana liking the Boston Bruins to get it done and go up 3-1 in this series on Thursday night. Andrew also is involved with Boston and Toronto, and I get a feeling he might be agreeing with Alex and Dana. Andrew, is that true?
Yes, sir, it is. And I think this is the exact example that we really saw when Minnesota went home and they were back there in St. Paul. They had a great performance in that first game back at home. And what had happened in that second game back home, I mean, Winnipeg Jets took care of business. It was low scoring, but they still took care of business, kept Minnesota off the board. I think the same thing happens here in the second game here at the Air Canada Center. Toronto Maple Leafs, one of those teams where if they get going, they're going to feel good. They're going to get shots and their chemistry is flowing. All their star players come out to play, but I think it's all about the mentality. It's all about the Boston Bruins being settled in now to the ACC. Leafs got their first playoff home game out of the way. This is almost an even playing field now. I don't think the second game at home really matters as far as who's at home. Right now, this is going to be the better team, and the Boston Bruins are the better team. The Leafs are not going to be able to hang in there for this many games with the rough Bruins, with the depth of the Bruins. And you know what? I think the power play is going to hurt the Leafs the most. I mean, they're not going to be able to stay out of the box because the Bruins do such a great job. As much as I hate to say it as a Montreal Canadiens fan, they do such a great job of banging around and getting in your head, but they also have that skill. I mean, that's why, you hate to love Marchand, but you got to respect him because he is that pest. He is that guy that's always in your face. He's got time. He makes time to be that asshole, but he also makes time to go top corner on every goalie in the league. So this Boston Bruins team can do it all. And I think in this game 4, they're going to come out and they're going to be strong against this Leafs team. They're going to be a lot more strong defensively as well. So I might look for a lower scoring game actually in this one. But for sure, I'm taking the Bruins, guys.
All right, Boston, clean sweep for 3 of the 4 here on the ice, guys. We got Washington, Columbus, final game to break down from the Wednesday-Thursday slate. What a fascinating series this has been. We've got Columbus minus 115 at home, total 5.5, slightly shaded to the over. Most exciting, most competitive series. No doubt. How can you argue otherwise when you've had 3 straight overtime games to begin this series like we've seen with the Capitals and Blue Jackets? Washington with a pulse, with the sign of life. They needed a little break off a couple of bodies ricocheting around to get the overtime winner in double overtime. As ugly an overtime goal as you'll get, but the longer you go in overtime, the more likely you are to see a goal like that be the game winner. And we certainly saw an ugly one with Washington, but it's not ugly to them. It's as pretty as it gets. It looks as beautiful and a picturesque a goal as they've ever seen because it gets them back in the series and gets them back with a sign of life, down 2-1 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'd still argue Columbus has largely been better 5-on-5 in this series. Washington's really relied on power play contributions. They did play well. I thought as the overtime went on, you could see Washington getting stronger in that game. But as a guy that liked Columbus to win this series before it started, I'm not panicking right now. The team is still up 2-1. You got a home game here in game 4. If you take care of business there, you're going to be in control again. 3-1 going back to Washington where you've already won twice. So no panic setting in for me, nor should it for the Columbus Blue Jackets right now. I got no problem now going in with minus 115 available to me here, even minus 111 with Heritage on the Columbus side in a bounce back spot here. Braden Holtby, great job. I mean, great performance, first start since losing the job, I guess you could say, to Philip Grubauer. First start in a meaningful game since losing that job to Philip Grubauer. Won't take anything away from him for it, but now it's a second straight time for the Blue Jackets and their snipers and their shooters and your Panarins and your Atkinsons and go on down the list to see what Holtby has to offer. They can make some adjustments. I think have a better showing offensively against him. This has been a dead nuts over series as well. Don't be fooled by the fact that we had an under result finally for the first time last night. It has been shots and A-grade scoring chances galore. Again, 80 shots combined the games last night. There's been a ton of penalties in this series, 4 power plays apiece for each team in Game 3 last night. You keep getting with that many power plays and that many quality scoring chances and the kind of pace we've seen too in this series, it's hard for me to envision another under, even though we finally saw one last night. So I'm going to go in with Columbus, minus 111 at Heritage, as well as over 5.5 in this game for Capitals and Blue Jackets. I think Columbus is fine. No reason to panic or sweat. just to come out strong, and I think they'll do that tomorrow night. Led by Tortorella. He wasn't. I like the players sometimes take the demeanor of the coach. If you see Tortorella in the press conference after that loss last night, he says, "We're fine." It's weird stuff happens in playoff hockey. Sometimes there's games where you play better that you don't win, and games where you play worse that you do win, and that's the way it goes sometimes. He liked his team's effort and performance last night, even though it didn't show up in the results. So I like Columbus, and I like the over in that one tomorrow night. Capitals taking on the Blue Jackets, and I'm the only one on that game. So there we go. We can go right to best bets to wrap up the Wednesday show here on the NHL Ice Guys. Thanks again to everyone for tuning in. What have we got currently in terms of views? 170. That's fantastic. Thanks again on a Wednesday afternoon for joining us. We appreciate it. Again, we're back on Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific. That'll be our next show. We'll talk Friday, Saturday, playoff action on Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern here on the NHL Ice Guys. Let's get to best bets to wrap it up. We are 9-7 with best bets so far here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's go to Andrew with his best bet for this card.
Yeah, guys, we're getting a little bit of a steep price here with the Nashville Predators in the full game. So what I'm going to do is go ahead with my team total over 3.5 plus 119. What I saw last time I checked. So over 3.5 team total for the Predators. Big bounce back night for them. The Stars will come out, and I think they're going to shut down this Colorado Avalanche team.
All right, Nashville for Andrew McGinnis, best bet for him. Let's go to Dana. What do you got for us? Best bet from Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, personally, I got on the Penguins at minus $1.45. I don't mind laying that price, but if that's too steep for you, you can get them at regulation at minus $1.05 in some spots. This is a Flyers team that the Penguins have had a ton of success against in Philadelphia. 8 of the 9 periods that these two teams have played, the Penguins have outshot them. There's no reason to go against the Penguins tonight.
All right, Pittsburgh. Money line or regulation line. Either's good in Dana's book for his best bet, which takes place tonight. Let's go to Alex B. Smith. Best bet. What do you got?
Going with Colorado and Nashville once again. The first period over. The Nashville is trying to emulate what Colorado's done in the first 3 games. Start quick and early. Try and get a goal within the first 5-10 minutes. I think we do see that. I think we see goals from both teams here early and often. So laying $1.25, it's a little steep for a first period over, but I think it's your cash. So that's my best bet.
All right, first period over, Nashville and Colorado tonight. Alex B. Smith's best bet. Mine's going to be San Jose in regulation time. Minus 105 is the consensus line with that. I got no problems backing a 130 and 84, 61% all-time betting angle in the NHL, which says teams up 3-0 in a series go on to sweep it in 4 straight games. I haven't seen enough from Anaheim to trust them here tonight, so we'll take the nice price here, $1.05, San Jose in regulation time to sweep away the Anaheim Ducks tonight in Game 4. That'll be my best bet for this show. And just quickly to recap, we've got Andrew with the Nashville Predators team total over as his best bet. Dana Lane with Pittsburgh money line as his best bet. Regulation line is acceptable as well. Alex B. Smith over 1.5 first period, Nashville, Colorado. And mine, San Jose minus 105 in regulation against Anaheim. That'll wrap up the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 10:30 a.m. Pacific for our next playoff edition of the NHL Ice Guys. For Andrew, Alex, and Dana, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. As always, enjoy the Stanley Cup playoff action these next couple nights. Good luck to all of you. We'll see you again on Friday.